I guess so. The only other race that could possibly be up in the air is the Indians aren't out yet, but they have a much harder battle than,
How are the Mets doing? Are they out? Do they still have a chance? Sorry, that's later on.
What a segue. As a matter of fact, I think we can actually jump into the Mets now. Unless there's anything else we want to talk about.
No, let's just jump right into it because I got in a huge argument with stupid Schmetz fans last night because they just can't help themselves. I mean, I did ask for it. I posted a picture of David Wright, and I said something like, your season is just as trashed and overhyped as your former ex-captain or something like that. And
so harsh.
They didn't like it, and I posted a picture of him going like this, yeah, I'm a loser. Because he is.
I think that hurt Joe's feelings.
Joe does not look happy right now.
You just plunged a dagger right into his heart.
Their franchise player is David Wright.
I thought it was Ed Kranepool, according to Don LaGreca. I'm not going to get into that.
No, their franchise player is Pete Alonso, and it's his first damn year. So calm the frick down. Wait till next year because you're done this year. You've been eliminated. Good luck. Better luck next year. And maybe DeGrom could win you 12 games next year, 13 games next year. That'd be awesome.
In the big inning, there was baseball. I am back, and we're never doing that again. What happened?
Last week's episode was excellent. I have no idea what you're talking about.
I go for 1 week, and you guys don't know how to start.
You're the one who wants to take vacations every other week.
I told you.
It's ridiculous. I'm going to go to Ohio and watch football.
No. I told you why I was in Ohio. It's not because I wanted to go watch football. The last team, let me rephrase this. I'm not going to go somewhere just so I can watch Toledo football.
I mean,
the Toledo football just happened to come with the experience.
Okay.
All right? So.
Took a vacation to Ohio. That's another
thing. Like, who would do that? That's not a vacation destination.
I mean, it's weird. I don't know why you would do that. Let's get right into it because we're going to talk about Mets fuckery today. We
are. We're going to eventually get to Mets fuckery. Oh, I cursed. We're eventually going to talk a few topics. A little bit of
the Brewers,
a little bit of a debate on is how home field advantage versus rested players and all that. That comes up a lot on the twits. I will also open class. School's going to be in session today, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some deeper pitching statistics later on.
And I'm just going to listen because I don't care.
Evan's going to learn, and so will all of you. Now put away your phones, and let's jump right in. We're going to talk, eventually we're going to get into the Brewers. We're going to get into how the Cubs laid a total egg, how the Mets, and...
First off, you didn't introduce me. I'm Evan Wetzel, and this is 27 Down, Perfect Podcast for the Perfect Game.
You never introduce me.
That's not my job. You're the introduction.
That's true. Yeah, I know.
I had to do it last week, and look what happened. It didn't happen.
Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. Let's talk some race updates. So the Brewers really have turned it on in the month of September. I don't know if there's been a better team in all of baseball.
Probably not. And we both thought they were pretty much out of it 2 weeks ago. So the fact that they are very much alive and might win the division is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. The Brewers have currently won 6 in a row.
Yep.
And they're creeping up.
Who's been hot on their team? Do you have the stats on who's been hot lately for them?
Honestly, it's their starting pitching has been incredible, which is funny because if you look at the pitchers that they have, it's a lot of familiar names that haven't done anything in a while.
Right. Didn't they get Davies back?
Like Gio Gonzalez.
Gio Gonzalez is finally.
They have a strong bullpen, obviously anchored by Hader. He's still a phenomenal pitcher.
He's unbelievable. Yeah.
Everything's just clicking for them at the right time, and it's funny. You said it on the way here.
Mm-hmm.
We were just crapping on him last time I was here.
Yep.
We had basically done a eulogy for Christian Yelich, but really it was a eulogy for the Brewers season. We had said they were toast.
We thought you guys were done.
Yeah.
It's dead, yeah.
At the same time, the Cubs have lost 8 in a row, and now they're out.
Right. Well, they've been dealing with some injuries, too, with Chris Bryant stepping on a wet bag, and Baez, obviously, was just not ready to come back.
And all year long, they just haven't had the starting pitching to really cover up any missing spots on offense. So it's a nightmare for the Cubs. If you're a Cubs fan, it could not have gone any worse. They were comfy. They were sitting comfy. It looked like they were close to pushing forward for a wild card.
Right.
Man,
some of their players aged quick though, like John Lester.
Yeah, well, John Lester isn't exactly young.
I know, but he went from being top of the game like 3 years ago to being irrelevant now. And don't they also have Cole Hamels?
Cole Hamels has not been good. Yu Darvish has not been good.
I told them not to
Quintana
sign
has been
Darvish.
really not good.
Yeah.
So,
but Darvish, come on, that was a joke signing, and I was not in favor of that at all.
It was a mistake. I'm not quite. I guess you can kind of throw out there. Well, he was kind of good. He's always been this enigmatic type, and he could turn it on. But no, man, especially for the amount of money they gave him. That's not the kind of person you don't throw that kind of money at someone who you think could maybe go back to the way he was.
Right.
Especially those years that he got. It was a very, very bizarre head scratch. I don't know if he got any options in that deal, but I doubt he exercises it if he did.
He shouldn't. We talk about how smart Tanaka is all the time for not exercising his.
He was ahead of the curve.
Completely.
He was ahead of the curve. He knew the landscape.
And I think we're going to start to see that a lot more often with these players.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible that Stanton doesn't opt out when it's finally time for him to.
I mean, JD doesn't. He is a opt out with the Red Sox this year. Mm-hmm. I mean, depending on who else opts out with him, he might not do that.
Yeah,
you know?
True. Not only did the Brewers secure themselves a playoff berth, they're only a game and a half behind the Cardinals.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
So
that's also what we're talking about, how bad it would be for the Cardinals to then lose the division and go to the wild card game. Because if they lose that, oh man, their fans are going to be livid.
And Washington is the other team. They're locked into the wild card. They can't win.
And I am more scared of Brewers Washington than any other team in the National League right now, to be honest.
Right. Yeah, like if you're the Dodgers. If you're the Dodgers, you're kind of watching that game, biting your fingernails. If it's the Brewers and the Nationals, which it currently is, you kind of have to pick your poison, right? I mean, the Nationals have been who they are now for a few months. You see them as this powerhouse with a three-headed snake as a starting rotation, and they have some really, really good pieces on offense. And the Brewers are just they are the proverbial team that got hot at the right time.
Right.
So it's kind of like that year the Rockies won like 9 trillion games in a row and got swept by
if you were to rank like the rotations, one being the best and so on, would you do Houston then the Nationals, or
if we're mixing NL and AL,
right?
You got to put Houston at the top.
Okay, that's what
on
I thought.
Paper, because that's all we're doing. This is on paper.
Yeah.
Nationals, but I mean the Dodgers have really good pitching too.
Yeah,
Kershaw, Walker Buehler finally took a huge step forward. Ryu. Yeah, they have some really good pitching.
Walker Buehler has been amazing, and he saved me fantasy because I traded Noah for him, and everyone was like, "You're a jackass. The Phillies are going to be amazing this year, and Noah's going to be incredible." And he's okay, but Walker got me a lot more points.
Cool story.
It is a cool story. You suck.
Well, I mean, I'm
going to win money by Tuesday, so yeah, I'm jazzed up.
Yeah, that's great. We're all very, very proud of you. You're a degenerate gambler.
Not degenerate if you win.
I guess so. The only other race that could possibly be up in the air is the Indians aren't out yet, but they have a much harder battle than
How are the Mets doing? Are they out? Do they still have a chance? Sorry, that's later on.
What a segue. As a matter of fact, I think we can actually jump into the Mets now. Unless there's anything else we want to talk about.
No, let's just jump right into it because I got in a huge argument with stupid Schmetz fans last night because they just can't help themselves. I mean, I did ask for it. I posted a picture of David Wright, and I said something like, your season is just as trashed and overhyped as your former ex-captain or something like that. And
so harsh.
They didn't like it, and I posted a picture of him going like this. Yeah, I'm a loser. Because he is.
I think that hurt Joe's feelings.
Joe does not look happy right now. You just
plunged a dagger right into his heart.
Their franchise player is David Wright.
I thought it was Ed Kranepool, according to Don LaGreca. I'm not going to get into that.
No, their franchise player is Pete Alonso, and it's his first damn year. So calm the frick down. Wait till next year because you're done this year. You've been eliminated. Good luck. Better luck next year. And maybe DeGrom could win you 12 games next year, 13 games next year. That'd be awesome.
So a few things that I really have to... First of all, what is a Schmet? And what are the Schmets? And what are Schmetz fans?
Shitty Mets.
Okay. I should have known that. Secondly...
You want to talk about man poopies?
Stop it! It's so dumb. It is the dumbest.
It pisses them off so much.
It's really dumb.
Annoy you is one of my biggest joys in life.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. What a great co-host I have. We are taking applications.
You need another vacation? Is that why?
Shut your mouth. I've been on one. Nobody goes on vacation to Toledo.
You're going to go on Christmas break this year too, probably?
Yeah, why wouldn't I?
Yeah, I am too.
I mean, I get a February break too.
If you ruin the show in February,
I get another one for Easter. What's your problem?
Bitch.
Anywho, that was only the first thing. The second thing is I noticed you threw some shade at DeGrom.
DeGrom's fine. I'm sorry.
Remember, everybody,
he's fine.
Pitcher win-loss record doesn't actually dictate how well you pitched. Now, if you want to say that, hey, it's an indication of how their offense was, what is up with that, by the way? That is such a weird phenomenon that certain pitchers are so prone to their hitting not giving them any runs. You know who also got that? When Hiroki Kuroda was with the Yankees, I remember they would barely score 2 runs for the guy. When they would score a third, it's
he would win a lot of 3-2 games, and you're just like, God damn it, guys!
Yeah.
Really?
Or he would get a lot of no decisions in games that he would score. He would only allow.
He was so good for us though. Like if we had gotten him at the beginning of his career and had him for those full 7-8 years, whatever his career was, oh man, because he was really, he
was awesome,
consistently good.
I remember that was kind of like the peak of the time when people used to say dumb things like, yeah, that's a National League pitcher. He can't pitch in the American League.
No, dude, they still said that. They said that about Corbin and stuff like that. Wow. And, I know he still went to the National League, but I still feel that Corbin's a good pitcher. And
I will say this. There's a tiny bit of truth to that. Tiny bit. Because, the real powerhouse offenses are in the American League, not to the extent that they would make you think, but really the kernel of truth is you're pitching against a pitcher at least 2 times in a game. So there's a tiny little touch of truth, but nothing that a professional, really, really good pitcher can't kind of adjust to.
I mean, and I guess you can kind of squeak by on being on a random team that's not really doing anything. Like Sonny Gray, for example. The Reds are nothing, so stop. Oh, he's a Cy Young now. Oh, Yankees should have kept him. I've heard that, and I just shut up.
That's really dumb because
it's ridiculous. He wasn't going to do that here, guys.
That's clearly just a person who can't handle playing in New York, and we see those guys all the time.
Yeah, and it sucks, but it's whatever.
Jeff Weaver was one of them.
John Rocker.
All of my neurons in my brain are telling me do not respond to that. But I will say this. I don't think the level of competition was John Rocker's problem with New York. That's all I'm going to throw out there.
He was the one that spat on a fan, right? He did several things.
He did things. Let's just say he did things. Shall we go over the funny moments of the Mets from this year?
The whole season.
Well, I was talking more specifically when Mickey Callaway Well, that's it, right? That's all you need to know is Mickey Callaway. How about Brody signing Jerry Familia when Adam Ottavino was there?
Not good.
Signing Jed Larry when DJ LeMahieu was there.
Wasn't also who was the other guy who's had a mediocre season, but they probably should have gone with him over.
I don't know. Just point to any position except for first base.
Marwin Gonzalez. They probably could have had him. He might have been better than Jed.
Yeah, there was also that incident where Callaway and Vargas got into a fight with the media, and there was the time that it was revealed that Brody Van Wagenen was texting Callaway during games. Yeah, and there was a time that Mickey Callaway basically said as an answer, like, I'm paraphrasing here, but it was something along the lines of, yeah, I just kind of hope we can win. This is your other team, New York. Cherish it. I think we should give them away and bring in the Buffalo Bills.
I mean, that's the real team in New York right now.
The funny part is, if the Mets were doing well, and if they made it to the World Series, and if they were playing anyone except the Yankees, totally cool. I would be rooting them. I would be rooting
of course. And I would say nothing. I wanted them to beat Kansas City, other than the fact that my ex was a Mets fan. I wanted her to feel pain, but...
Oh, my Lanta. I cannot believe that. Something in me tells me that Mets fans are not so open to rooting for the Yankees.
No, they're not at all.
Make it to the World Series.
You kidding me? They do cheers with the Boston fans. Yankees suck when they're both not in the playoffs. You guys are idiots.
It must have been hell. It must have been hell for Mets fans when the Yankees played the Phillies in the World Series. Because then it's like, do I root for them or do I jump? Like, do I pick one? Do I end it?
And it is funny because if you look back at 08-09, Tampa Bay made it to the 08 World Series where they lost to the Phillies. I've never thought that Phillies team was that good of a team. I know they made it back-to-back, but if you look at a bunch of the other teams that made it back-to-back, are the Phillies up there at the top? I don't think so. Like the 90s Braves teams were a lot better. I'd say
90s Blue Jays.
Early 90s Blue Jays were better. You got a bunch of the San Francisco Giants who won every other year. They were better.
Who was that team in the late 90s that won 3 straight and made it to 4 straight and actually made it to like 7 out of 8 years?
I have no idea who
you're referring to. I think I got to be honest with you because this is going to be Is this our last show before the playoffs?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I don't think...
Because the playoffs start next Friday, so we might do a show that Thursday.
I guess so.
I guess the wild card series starts. The first round starts that Friday.
I'm going to pull up the calendar here, the calendar as they call it, and I'm going to look at October. It is currently September 26th. Our next episode is going to be October 3rd.
That is correct.
So, and yes, you're right. The LDSs start on the 4th. So, our next episode, we will know who the 8 teams are.
Yeah.
Which is great. I love that.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about the matchups and all this.
I'm very excited to talk about just, pick it all apart. The reason why I say this is because that likely means that for the next month and a half, we're not going to be talking about these guys anymore. So,
who the Mets?
If it seems like I'm dogpiling right now, I'm just trying to get my money's worth before,
And they're not going to do anything all offseason either, so we're not going to talk about them then.
Who knows?
No, they're going to do nothing. They got Pete Alonso. He's the god. He's going to save the whole franchise, dude, for the next 15 years.
Mickey Callaway might get fired at some point. Pete Alonso, is he going to break the record?
I talked about it with Joe. Joe said 55 plus.
Time out.
What? I was in the middle of a point.
Nobody cares. So, I didn't break anything. It's fine. I will say that for some reason, Mets fans seem to think that Yankee fans really are upset by the fact that Alonso might break this record. I don't really care. I don't think Aaron Judge cares. You know what I care about? 28.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? When Judge actually won it, they made the playoffs that year, and it was relevant. We needed that 52 to win, so. Okay.
I love it. Let's.
No, I honestly might hate the Mets more than I do the Red Sox sometimes because of the fan base. They're so dumb sometimes. I'm sorry, I can't deal with it. And then I go on Twitter and they're yapping in my face all day.
I thought I was getting my money's worth. I'm going to now cross out this topic.
We're done with Mets. I'm not talking about them for
the next
3 months. Okay, you heard me. 3 months.
It's been fun, Mets. It's been fun. It always is. It's fun every year. We will get back to you guys at some point. Okay, so let's actually talk playoff baseball here.
Yeah, and you want to do your stats as well.
And we're going to get to that.
Okay. Jesus Christ, we're going to have a 2-hour special?
We haven't even been filming that long. We've been on for 20 minutes? Look at that. Come on now. We got plenty of time. I want to talk about, so like I said, playoff baseball, and I will say this. Obviously, home field is important. I'm not going to try to downplay it. I will say this also, that it's probably the least important out of all of the North American sports, right? Yes. Obviously, in the NFL, home field is huge because it actually affects the player's ability to hear, especially if you're pinned up against your own end zone. That can actually have an impact on the game.
Right.
I would say in basketball, kind of the same thing. And I would say in hockey, hell yeah. It's important in baseball.
Hockey
Don't get me wrong.
Most important, actually.
But baseball is just too slow-paced of a game for the ambient noise to really have that much of an impact. It has some, and home field is important.
So long of a season that these last 2 weeks really do start to log for these players. And you know what? If we have Sevy coming back healthy, Edwin coming back healthy, Stanton coming back healthy, I don't want to play him right now because I want them healthy in the playoffs. So we need that.
Right. So it's been very, very big on Twitter. I've seen several polls about it. I've seen people give their opinions. And the question always becomes the following. What's more important, home field advantage or resting your players? I will give my opinion on this shortly. Let's look at the pros and cons. Obviously, home field, you get to have more games at your home ballpark. And, in certain moments, like if there's a pitcher on a 3-2 count, if it's the home team, it's probably going to be quiet in the stadium. Or, maybe not on a 3-2 count, but if it's 3-1 and the bases are loaded, everyone's going to be a little hushed. If it's the away team, however, it's going to be mad city. So I remember the 2017 playoffs against the Indians. Do you remember when Greg Bird hit that home run against Andrew Miller?
Unbelievable.
That stadium, I was about to say I haven't heard that since 2009. I don't even think that happened in 2009.
The level of noise that we heard on that home run was
wild, absolutely wild.
And I was at the wild card game last year, and the level of noise when Voit hit that triple that hit the wall was insane. Yeah. It wasn't as loud as the Greg Bird one.
Right. Now, obviously rest, because if you don't have rested players, you're using your depth. And hey, the Yankees have used their depth all year, no?
We've had to because of the injuries, yes, of course.
They're sitting at 102 wins right now.
I think it partly depends on the situation in which the team's in. We're one of the best teams in baseball, so obviously for us, I think we need to rest them. We have, a top 3 record or whatever?
I believe they have the second best record.
I believe
they're over the Dodgers now.
So it sucks that Houston's going to pass us and they beat us more this season than we beat them. But trust me, you're going to want to rest them. Plus, we're going to play the Twins, right? Most likely?
That's what
it looks like?
Most likely, yeah.
Okay, so it looks like Houston's probably going to have to play Oakland. If I were to say, I would say Oakland's going to win that wild card game. I just have a feeling Oakland's rolling right now. I don't know if Oakland's going to beat Houston, but they're going to beat up on them pretty bad. Dude.
Yeah. So here's the thing. The Yankees have a 45-33 record on the road. The Astros are about 44-33. So they're tied in the loss column. They're virtually the same team on the road. The Astros are a little better than the Yankees at home. Yankees 57-24. Houston 60-21. Let me tell you something. If you are the type that looks at those columns, they kind of go out the window in the playoffs. Things just. This is no longer the course of a 162 game season. These are now small series. Right. These are now 5, or in that case, 7 games.
Brings up an interesting point for me is if you're the wild card team, you're going to want that home field advantage. I think for that, it might be more important because that you get one shot. You need that to be at home. And if you saw last year, we used home field advantage to get into the playoffs. I mean, we were rocking.
Same thing the year before.
Yeah.
Same thing the year before with the Twins when Severino went down 3-0.
Yeah.
I mean, that stadium lifted the players' spirits.
Yeah. You need that home for the wild card game. I've always been huge on that. But if we locked up playoffs pretty much 2 weeks ago. I mean, it wasn't locked up, but we knew we were heading to it.
Yeah.
If that's the case, start resting players.
It's so the correct answer to this, in my opinion, is kind of a cop out. You got to find the balance.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to find the balance of both.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. That was my point of depends on the situation.
Yeah, you don't run your relievers into the ground. You have to make sure your guys are getting the proper rest. Right. And there are times where it's going to look like you're waving the white flag.
Right, but I love the fact that they are testing out different scenarios. They're doing it now so that they don't
see out of the bullpen.
Exactly, Hap out of the bullpen. They're doing that now so that they don't have to try that in the playoffs. Because you try that in the playoffs and boom, you get hit. Right. Goodbye.
Yeah, I will say this: I saw. Complete sidebar here. Another thing that I saw was, if there's a game 4, do you go to Hap or do you do a bullpen game? I think the answer to that is clear as well. Okay. Bullpen game. And
that's exactly what I was saying.
I've been ranting about how bad J Hap is, maybe not on this show, but definitely on Twitter. I will say this. I saw a stat that kind of sealed it for me. 4 relievers. Ready? Canely, Ottavino, Chapman, Britton.
Okay, got it. Yep.
When all 4 pitch in the same game, Yankees are 22-0.
Wow. That I did not know. That's a great stat.
So you get Chad Green out there to start, or to open, whatever. At some point, get those 4 in there.
You've been very effective with him as the opening starter.
Very effective. Very effective. Hopefully, the offense takes control in a game like that. And
so you like the opener from time to time. Like, I don't want to rely on it and make it a thing where it's like we have to use the opener because it's the thing.
No, yeah. It's good. It's good.
It's a good new strategy. I like the idea.
It gives you depth. Yeah. It gives you depth where maybe you don't have a reliable 5th starter, or maybe someone's hurt, or you want to lighten someone's load. Especially like maybe for a double header, you used to see teams would always have some kind of spot starter. The spot starter is dead, man. The spot starter is not a thing anymore. Now the spot starter is the opener. So that's just a fun little way that baseball has evolved.
Braves do it so well too, and of course they would be the team to come up with it.
They were the ones who really pushed that out there.
But like Stanek, Castillo,
back when they had Romo opening games.
Yeah. I mean they have some pieces there, man.
Yeah. All right, that's all I got for home field versus rest. Yeah. And it is time. The bell has rung. Students, take your seats, please. We're gonna do some learning. Shut up. Sit. Come on. This is the moment where we probably lose all of the listeners over the age of 40, or someone who hears a number and has an aneurysm, or somebody hears the word divide and they die or something. So I always bring up the. You sometimes bring up win-loss record, and I yell at you, and you go, no, I know, man. I don't know how true that is.
I don't really care. I bring up all stats, dude, but I understand that the importance has been diminished over time. So I get what you're talking about.
People have kind of woken up to the fact that
I understand that, but I'm very old school baseball. You know this about me. So
what if I told you that ERA isn't so great either?
You have, and I've also. It's another stat that I cared about as a pitcher. I cared about how many runs I gave up each game. That bothered me.
What if I told you, the listener, that ERA is a measure of what has happened, but it's not necessarily a measure of quality?
Okay.
Can you not be difficult?
I wasn't listening.
Can you support me?
Oh yeah. This is a great segment.
In my segments, I'm gonna piss all over your segments.
I don't have any.
Maybe you should have some. Maybe you should come up with something. At least I'm coming up with stuff.
Son of a bitch.
So yeah, like I just said, ERA is a measure of what has happened, but it's not a measure of the quality and sustainability. Okay. So these are two stats that I'm going to talk about. There's FIP, FIP, and X-FIP. Okay. FIP stands for fielding independent pitching. Here's the issue. We've talked about this before. We've kind of brought this up. Derek Jeter, good defender or not?
He had his moments. He had range issues
Right? Didn't really have many errors.
Yeah.
When he got to the ball, he picked it up. He threw the guy out. He was really good at that part. Yeah. He had his range issues.
He was really good at knowing where to be. His positioning was phenomenal.
Yeah. ERA, obviously, it's earned run average, right? So it doesn't take into consideration the runs that score because of errors. But what it fails to do is capture the defense as a range. Okay, so you're not going to get an error if your range sucks, but a pitcher's ERA can suffer with a defense with low range.
That actually came into effect last night's Cleveland game. Shane Bieber, he was on the mound, and there was a play that was supposed to be at the plate, and Santana basically just threw it over the catcher into the dugout or whatever.
Well, there you go. Now, you see, something like that would not go into someone's ERA, right? Well, because that's an error. Right. If you're throwing the ball away, that's an error.
He got the error, obviously.
But, you know, if someone hits it on the ground and Derek Jeter's running towards it versus Andrelton Simmons, one of those guys is going to catch the ball, the other guy is not. Right. You know which one is which. Right. So, but if a run scores, that run is going to be attributed to the pitcher's ERA. Right. So that's one thing that FIP and XFIP kind of control for. Another thing is that, you know, baseball is a very fluky sport. Someone makes contact, the ball's going to fall in play 30% of the time. That is a number that has been tested, tried and true. League average always regresses back to 30%. That's the concept of batting average on balls in play.
What would you say the other most streaky sport is? I'd say basketball.
Basketball, yeah. Basketball is a lot like baseball, and they both have like very intricate, you know, probability-based statistics. Right. Okay, so those are the two things that need to be controlled for. So here's what we do when we talk about FIP, when we talk about XFIP, fielding independent pitching. We talk about only the things that the pitcher can control. A pitcher cannot control a defender's range. A pitcher cannot control when contact is made, will the ball land or not? The pitcher can control how hard or soft the contact is based on what they throw. But once contact is made, it's out of the pitcher's hand. Okay? So when we say fielding independent pitching, here are the four things we look at. Okay? We look at strikeouts. We look at walks, we look at home runs, and we look at, I guess you can throw in hit by pitch, okay? So fielding independent pitching is a lot like ERA in that what's considered good for FIP is also good for ERA. Whatever's bad for FIP. So if someone has a FIP of 2.5, that's stellar. If it's like 5.5, that's trash. Okay. So the more guys you strike out, the lower your FIP is going to be. Okay. The fewer guys you walk, the lower your FIP is going to be. So more strikeouts, fewer walks, and fewer home runs.
So someone like Garrett Cole would have a very good FIP.
Would have a very, very good FIP. But also there are some guys who will have a very good FIP, but a poor ERA. The reason for that is purely luck. It's purely they're having an unlucky season.
And who would be an example of that?
So an example of that is when the Yankees picked up Brandon McCarthy years ago. So Brandon McCarthy,
he was good for us though. When we picked him up, it was unbelievable. And then he got that deal and he was trash.
Well, so here's the thing. Well, when he got that deal and became trash, that's because his pitching ability kept getting hurt. He had that shoulder, so he ended up with injuries
in his career that were like, wow.
When he was on the Diamondbacks before the Yankees traded for him, he had an ERA up near like 5, and his FIP was below 3. It was like 2.9. So if you're looking at this trade that the Yankees make, you're going, if you're a traditional guy, what are they doing? This guy's terrible. Yeah. But if you're more analytically minded, you look at that and you go, okay, that means he's striking guys out. That means he's limiting walks. That means he's not giving up a lot of home runs. And he's getting unlucky that these guys are just hitting. When they do make contact, it's just falling in the wrong spot. Right. Or he has some trash defense behind him.
I liked him. I thought
he comes to the Yankees. He comes to the Yankees, and his bad luck stops. Mm-hmm. He starts pitching more close to his FIP. And that's where FIP becomes the indicator of what could happen in the future. So ERA tells you what happened in the past. FIP tells you what could happen in the future, what the pitcher's actual talent is closer to.
That makes a lot of sense.
X-FIP is a little different.
Okay.
So X-FIP, so I told you that for FIP, if you give up a lot of home runs, your FIP is going to be higher.
No, higher,
Yeah, because that's bad, right?
Yeah.
X-FIP says, well, even home runs can be kind of fluky. So if you give up a lot of fly balls, you're probably going to give up, you could give up a lot of home runs, maybe not. You could give up few fly balls and they're just leaving the park. So X-FIP tells you that there's more of a flukiness to home runs as well. So X-FIP looks more at your fly ball percentage.
Okay,
so if you have a higher than league average fly ball percentage instead of actual home runs given up, then you're going to have a higher FIP. You can give up a ton of home runs, but if you have a low fly ball percentage, then that...
So where would Tanaka be, for example? Because we know he gives up a lot of home runs.
Tanaka would be... Well, Tanaka, here's the thing with him. He strikes guys out at a fair clip.
Right.
He doesn't really walk a lot of guys. But yeah, he does give up a lot of home runs. So that kind of drags his FIP up closer to high 3s, 4, sometimes maybe.
You said you wanted it down closer to the 2 range.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you would want a pitcher to have ERA-wise, you would want the same thing for their FIP. So Tanaka, I would say, would have kind of a... It's hard to say. I would have to kind of... The calculation is actually fairly easy. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head.
You are right, though, with the ERA, because I think if you, as a Yankees fan, you look at a bunch of our starters, and yeah, we had high ERAs, but... Look how many wins we got regardless and the impact some of those wins had throughout the season. I mean, all of our starters have had at least 1 or 2 really good games that they've thrown. Yeah. I mean, we've even seen Hap have one decent game.
Right.
It was a while ago, but it
was... So what I'm getting at with all of this is, folks, I'm not saying abandon ERA. Sure, totally look at how many runs the pitcher gave up. But that can't be all you look at if you want to evaluate how much value you think the pitcher might have in the future. ERA, good for past performance. FIP kind of will tell you what their true talent is and where they might regress, where their statistics might head to. Class dismissed. Do you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, I'm preparing for the next segment. Just keep rolling.
You're preparing for the next segment? We have another segment?
Shoutouts.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I was not told that I would need to stretch this. And,
keep going.
I will also say that I enjoy macaroni and cheese.
I do also like macaroni and cheese. I'm back.
Oh, you had something you wanted to do?
No, but you brought me back with macaroni and cheese, so we're going to discuss that now.
It's tasty. And it's yummy. Do your shout-outs, please.
Nah, I'm good.
What? You made me do all of that? You made me stretch it out like an idiot? And talk about mac and cheese? And you just don't even want to do your thing now?
This is 27 Down, the perfect podcast for the perfect game. Take care, guys.
I hate you.